Welcome back everyone to Web Gaming Entertainment. My name is Walter with you for another update for the game Tech Executive Tycoon. So here we are in another video, another update, and I want to show you a few things. Normally, even with our Monday updates, what I do is I sort of give you an idea of what we have been working on and what's to be worked on next. And I'm going to do the same thing in this video, and I'm going to start off by saying that, or start off by talking about what has been going into the game. So just a little wordy at the beginning of the video, then I'm just going to show you a few things, and then we're going to get ready to go to finishing this game. So what we've been working on, pretty much as I've been keeping you guys up to date with the Monday updates, but I'm just going to reiterate some of those things just to catch up for those who just simply wait on these videos. Pretty much a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Of course, the AI that's been the primary focus for the past 2 months. The AI is in, still a few small things to add in, and then of course the polish. Right now though, what I've been working on for the past week and a half to 2 weeks is the UI. So there's some things that I want to begin to show on that side of things, and it's still a work in progress, so there's a lot more left to be added in. Right now I have some of the basic things, actually some of the basic and a little bit of the more advanced things, but I'm only going to show you a few things. Either way, when you start the game, this here will be the main window that you can take a look at to see the overview of your entire company's operation, some important details that you might want to be able to check out all in one glance. So for example, and this video is going to pretty much be a conversation about some of the things that we have not yet talked about, but as I said, I want to start off by saying what I have been working on. And so the UI has been that, trying to make sure that the windows in the game are set up in a way that's both easy to look at and easy to understand, as well as really efficient, I guess. So I wanted to give you a place where you can go to get a lot of information on one screen about your company, and this is going to be it. Honestly, this is the main window that you'll probably spend the most of your time in throughout the entire game. There'll be other windows too, of course, and don't pretty much everything you see here as far as the tabs, these will be here, and don't mind the little let me go ahead and turn that off so that we don't see the tooltip showing. Alright, but yes, and don't worry, you've got the sound stuff that I'm working on. The sound right now is, you haven't done any work with sound, so, and that's going to be pretty quick because this game is not really intensive on that side of things. But either way, we have that to do. But this screen is going to be the main thing, and as you can sort of start to follow the idea of it, we're currently looking at the headquarters tab, and of course this is not complete yet, so some functionality that you will see, it's not yet working, but it will be very soon. Of course, we can rename some simple things in here. I always like to show the simple things. It's just, you know, I think the simple things matter a lot. But anyway, just some random stuff here. Okay, so this is your headquarters. Then you'll be able to click the tabs for the other types of offices you can have, and if you have any, information will be under those tabs, of course, just like you see the information posted here or shown here for the headquarters. You can only have one headquarters, so there will not be more than one. As you can see here, you can sort of cycle through, but you'll be able to do that for the factories, research facilities, call centers, and satellite offices. So you'll be able to have more than one of each of those. So that's what this little section here is for, so you can cycle through each one to get information about each specific one. Today though, we're going to deal specifically with the headquarters and the information in this part of the window, and that's what I'm going to be working on in the next week or two. This is the last stretch. The hardest part of the development is, I would like to say, is over, but I'm going to really be careful saying things like that because the game development has lots of surprises in it. So hence the reason, you know, I struggle big time giving release dates, but we are still on target for my August stated release date. You know, barring any setbacks of any kind, we are going to hit that date. Okay, so let's talk about the headquarters. Let's talk about what you, the player, will be doing. And then we're going to also talk a little bit about employees, because that's the last thing I did as far as the Monday updates. So now that I've talked your ear completely off, let's just go ahead and jump right in. We're going to start with the headquarters information. So company prestige, let's start right on this side of the screen. This is the overview tab, by the way, and I'm going to make something, or make sure you know which tab. Maybe it'll just stay highlighted when we're in this tab. So the company prestige is pretty much the main thing, main feedback number, if you will, for your company. Okay, and what this number encompasses is pretty much everything in one. So as you can see under here, we have workforce reputation, customer reputation, social reputation, product reputation, and industry reputation. So reputation is a big part of your company. It's your reputation in these 5 different sectors. So the workforce, so we're going to kind of go down the line here, and then we're going to culminate by speaking about how it all ties into company prestige. Workforce reputation is the reputation you have amongst employees in the workforce of the world. So how well you treat your employees, the types of benefits you have for your employees. Is it competitive versus, the world, the market, the industry? The industry is what I'm trying to say. Is it competitive with the industry? If it's less than competitive, that's gonna go against you. This score will be lower. Now, you won't be able to do this in the final game. This is just for feedback, so you can't manipulate that. That would be cheating. But this and that number will reflect it too. It's from 0 to 100. If you ever reach 100, which would be challenging to do, that just means that you are the class of this particular, as far as this reputation is concerned. Everyone will probably want to work for you when your workforce reputation becomes high. That means you cherish and value employees to a whole nother level. Okay, and so it's different things that go. Don't mind the 2 tips again that's popping up. That's a work in progress. But you will have the option to bring up 2 tips so that things can be explained for you if you're new to the game. But anyway, workforce reputation, as I mentioned, is definitely the feedback from the workforce. So all your employees that you have will have something to say about your company, or just imagine that they post often online and say things about your company, give reviews and things like that, and then now the word is out about what it's like to work at your company. Okay, and we're going to dig more into that, because there's another screen, the employee policies, that I'm going to show you that you can set for your companies that will have a direct effect on how easy and fun it can be to work at your company, or how extremely challenging and demanding it can be. So let's jump down to customer reputation. Customer reputation has everything to do with like your customer service, tech support, repair services, pretty much your interaction with your customers, how well you treat them. This, of course, can have wide-reaching effects, and so something that you're going to want to keep under control, of course. Social reputation. This is a big one for me. I just like little details and adding little things into the game that some might think is unnecessary, but I think it's fun to actually throw this in. So social reputation has everything to do with some of the policies you can set as well, and don't mind the errors here. But it definitely has, let's go ahead and pause this for a second, because I don't want time to go. But it definitely has everything to do with how you interact with the community, both at a local level and on a worldwide level. So there's different things, and I don't really want to talk too much about it because I'm still putting that part into the game. So it's different policies you can set that has a direct effect on the outside world. And we'll talk, as a matter of fact, I'll stop there. We'll talk about that in another update soon. Maybe another written update this month. Product reputation is pretty straightforward. How well your products are perceived. If you make really good products, really durable and easy to use products, this is something that will be reflected in your reputation. People like when they buy a product and they don't have to break out their school books to educate themselves on how to use it, or get online and start researching how to use your products. People like things where they can pick up, plug and play, or pick up and just understand as soon as possible. So those sort of things will be reflected in the reputation. So how well you do in that area will be reflected in the product's reputation. industry reputation is pretty much your interaction within the industry. So typically, if you're a company that's pushing the boundaries of the industry, you'll get a high ranking here or a high reputation here. Also, other little things too that I am going to hold off talking about that will be reflected in this reputation score. But to me, this is going to make the game fun, even more fun, because you know you can still succeed if you don't have stellar numbers here, but it's just that some things matter more than others sometimes, and then maybe not. So either way, we'll dig more into that in the future. But these scores here all culminate into, in a way, into prestige. However, they're not directly poured into the prestige. What prestige is, company prestige, that is. What that is pretty much how popular your company is or how unpopular your company is, and the reputation goes along with it. So these things, so let's take a step back real quick. I think I said something a little incorrect. The reputation, these 5 areas of reputation do not directly affect prestige, but what they do, they work side by side. So if you're not very prestigious, if you don't have a very prestigious company, then the reputation in some areas will matter less because you're not really well known. So you can actually correct it as you start to grow, and the corrections will be easier. For example, if you become a very prestigious company and your workforce reputation is really low, you're gonna have a lot of work to do to correct that. It's not like you can do one thing and all of a sudden it's fixed. No, you have to have a lot of employees change their mind about your company and then start to share that with the world. Okay, if you start off with without much prestige and you have a low workforce reputation, you can actually change that as you gain more business and as you gain more employees. Let's say you just created a great product and now it's selling thousands and thousands, millions of products or whatever, or millions of units. Now you have to hire a bunch of employees. Now as you hire these new employees, that's a bunch of fresh opinions about your company. So the longer, as they're working for your company, that if you change some important things, maybe they'll like working for your company, and then they'll share that information, and then that can be a sort of a way to quickly impact that reputation score. Okay, so enough there. Of course, over on the right hand side, I haven't set up my company, so this is still like debugging mode, so there is no company. So that's why there is no CEO or no other information. We don't have any products or anything like that, so you don't see anything. And then, like I said, this would work, but right now I want to show you the next thing, which I have yet to count them as employees. But there's 3 different types, 3 to 4 different types of employees, but we're going to jump into that in a quick second. But yeah, this information is going to be your basic information. So headquarters location, total number of employees, your best place to work rank. So employees will share if they like working for your company, and then you will be ranked yearly, as far as best place to work versus the rest of the companies in the world, inside your industry and outside of your industry. Right here you'll see what your primary industry is if you just so happen to have forgotten, which I hope you wouldn't. Total brands, that means the number of brands you have. So we're talking about product lines, the number of product lines you have, that's how many brands you have. And your leading brand, that'll be the one that's your most prestigious brand, so to speak. Okay, then all this other pertinent information that's important for you to see at a glance. Okay, so we're gonna jump over to the leadership tab. Now there's 6 executive slots at your company. Okay, and this is something that's new that you probably have not seen yet. I probably alluded to it before, but like I said, there's 3 to 4 different layers of employees. Your as I mentioned in the last dev blog, your, I'm going to call them base employees, but they're like your HR associates or generalists, HR recruiters, HR trainers. Those guys are your basic employees, your entry level, your skill. I'm not going to call them skill, but your main workhorse employees, so to speak. Okay, and I'll talk more about that. Well, I did already. So if you want to know more about that, check out the last dev blog that I did. Okay, next we have the skilled employees. So that's where we're talking about our software, hardware engineers, and positions like that. research, scientists, things like that. Those are skill positions that are in the game, and we'll talk about that in the next Monday update in the blog. But then you have your managers, okay? The managers are the ones who directly manage your base employees at each office. So every office can have managers for the different positions that I mentioned already. So your HR trainers, recruiters, administrators, they can be managed, different groups of those guys can be managed by one manager, and the manager has a direct effect on some of the capabilities and the full potential of your teams. We'll talk more about that later. The last level is your executives, and that's what I was trying to get to for this part. But the executives are your high level guys right under you, this company's CEO. So of course we have the chief operating officer, the chief financial officer. I try to make, just give the most basic names of executive types. So, I wasn't trying to get all detailed in different specific, industries. So I just wanted to be as basic as possible. So chief operating officer, chief financial officer, chief marketing officer, sales director, HR director, chief information officer. So these are the 6 different types of executives you can have. Now, these executives come with specific perks as well as other things. So when you're trying to hire one, it's a bit of, and some of this is unfinished, don't mind it, guys. But let's see, when we're looking to hire a specific one, there's a few things that we can check out to help us make our decision. There's different, as I said, perks. They can have up to 3 perks, and typically the perks is an added bonus to having them work for you. Of course, it's not free because it's sort of reflected. They know they have these skills, so it's sort of reflected in their salary negotiation. So let's take a look at that real quick. Let's take a look at Terry Chandler. No, let's see someone with skills. So that would be Christine Oscar. Let's look at Christine Oscar, age 36, experience 4, and she has, first of all, we clicked the chief marketing officer. I need to make sure I make something up here stating that these are all chief marketing officers, potential candidates. Okay, so her perk that she has is called innovative campaigning. This means she employs past experience to teach above average and effective and extra effective, and there's more to this that you can't see because I haven't edited it to fit all the description in. So either way, I sort of know what this does. It actually increases the marketing team's effectiveness when it comes to marketing for your product. So when you have this executive on, if we hire her and she accepts the offer, she would actually apply this boost company-wide. So if you have multiple marketing teams working from different offices, they all will be affected because it's as if she has established the precedent company-wide, which is essentially what these individuals do. They are over their entire department, so they are part of the they are the ones who sort of give the okay for different things, as well as pretty much spearhead the direction of the department. So you can imagine that they have a lot to do with the planning as far as like how things should be done, the standards, the precedent for the department. So that's what this is. Now, every executive have these 4 attributes: intelligence, planning, communication, leadership. And these are the main things that affect everything I just mentioned. So intelligence is big. And again, we'll talk about this in the upcoming update for the executives, where I talk in full detail about everything that they do and what they're capable of, and why you pretty much want them a part of your company. When you start out the game, of course, you probably won't be able to afford them, but as the game goes on and you start to gain success, you will be able to afford them, and then they will actually increase your company by a lot. Okay, so here's the thing. Now, remember we talked about the reputation. Okay, so with that reputation, these executives have their own idea of where they want to work, and if your company doesn't meet that criteria, the chances are less that they will want to work for your company. So that is what this is. This is where your company should be if you expect to entice this executive to work for you. So apparently they value your product's reputation far above anything else. So when this executive is looking for work, they want to work for a company that has prestigious products. That's how you can view this. Now, social responsibility, she doesn't care as much for that as she does your workforce reputation and your industry reputation. So that's how you view that part. They will have biographies, okay? But I want to talk about this next, and then we're going to get to the next piece. Okay, so this part was fun to create, actually, because the executives have system philosophies, and that's what I was trying to say. I was looking for that word. The executives in this game establish systems for their departments. If you give them full reign to run the department, as you can see right over here, you have a choice. You can determine what they can and cannot do, and then as a result, as you can see, their happiness can be controlled or will be based off of that. Typically, if you have an executive working at your company, they want to be given control over what they know they are good at doing, which is whatever department they're running or over. So every executive wants to control, but some players may want to still, control each department. They just want the benefit of the executive to be there. So that's why they hire him. So in a sense, you can look at this as delegating responsibility at different degrees. So if we decide to let them manage staff, then what they will do is pass that over to their managers, but they'll pass their own philosophy. So in many ways, they'll hire based on their own, and I'm going to really get into detail with this. They hire based on their own criteria. So what I mean by that is if the department needs, let's say, 5 employees, but this manager or this executive prefers to save money or prefers to be as cost effective as possible, maybe they will only hire 4 instead of 5 and just really push those employees to increase their output, so to speak. Okay, every executive has that, and that's what I'm about to talk about here in these philosophies, okay? So, and just bear with me because I'm going to write a blog about this so that you can get a better understanding. When I talk about it live, it's just a little different, so just bear with me here. But the executive system philosophy, so we have 3 of them, first of all. We have the immediate results philosophy, we have the employee focused philosophy, and we have the developmental, which is more of a long-term philosophy. Now, these titles can change, but right now, they're placeholders until I decide exactly the best way to title them. But let's talk a little bit about each. The immediate results one, and I'm going to actually read what I wrote. This executive's primary focus is on getting results right now. They do not take a lot of time to develop the department's employees. They believe in lighting the fire beneath employees brings out their full potential. And then, of course, there's more that I have. Again, I just have to fix the UI to show everything I wrote there. But essentially, as you can see, we can look at these and it'll explain exactly what happens. Employee productivity goes up, because this executive believes in pushing employees to their limits. Their performance goes up, and what this means is that because this executive is pretty much more aggressive, if you will, they demand employees to be more productive, more productive. So as a result, they tend to get that out of them, but as you can see, the negatives are this. The employee's workload goes up, which increases stress. So let's actually read these, since I think these are all, still some issues with with cutting off the paragraphs here. But anyway, the system pulls every ounce of potential out of their employees, so your employee performance goes up. Employee workload is high in this system. The idea is to maximize the overall potential of every asset and resource. Okay, of course there's more in there too. Then we got employee development. Now this goes down because the executive doesn't put any emphasis on employee training. They don't put emphasis on employee happiness. So as you can see, employee development and happiness goes down. Employee longevity goes down because the more stressed employees become, they tend to, you can look at it like this, they tend to age a little more because stress is just not good for anyone. So the stress has a direct effect on employees' longevity. So those employees who get overworked, they tend to retire much earlier. So if you have a bunch of employees that you've tried to develop at least a little bit, because you can still override this executive's way of doing things if you decide to adjust how they you delegate responsibility. That'll affect their happiness, but you can sort of mitigate their management style if you have to. Just like to give the player as many options as possible. But either way, as you can see, the employee longevity goes down. Now we have a more of an employee focused philosophy, and that's going to be the executive believes in finding a balance between pushing their employees to be as productive as possible while maintaining an atmosphere of development and growth over time. And of course, cuts it off again, so I won't finish or start reading that last sentence. But as you can see, employee performance sort of tapers off here because the focus is not on, pushing as much as the other philosophy. Employee productivity goes down too because, again, the focus is not on driving. And it's not so much that it goes down, but it's more negatively affected because the pressure is not, placed intensely on the employee. However, employee workload goes down. Their development is more on an even level. So it's not that they're gaining much or that they're losing much. They're just essentially, it's just normal, sort of standard. And, I'm still working out the detail, the final finality of this UI, how it's going to be set up and with the arrows and things like that. So just follow me for now. Employee happiness, of course, goes up. Less pressure, less stress tends to lead to a little more happiness. Longevity as well. All right, last one is developmental. And this executive focuses on the long-term success of the department, focused on developing each employee into a self-sufficient powerhouse of skill and productivity. Although not always a guarantee, I pretty much know what this is going to say. Investing can reap lasting benefits. And essentially what that means is that you can look at the arrows and things. The employee productivity, performance, and workload are sort of in the middle. So you can look at this one as more of the middle. Because this one here, as I said, employee focused. The idea of the employee focused one is to keep happy employees. So that executives really focuses on, let's keep all of our employees happy, that way we can get the most out of them. At least that's the idea. But because there's not a lot of pressure placed on the employee, a lot of immediate success will be sacrificed, and that's why you see the down arrows and things like that. Developmental, though, it's much more of a middle ground. Even though the wording I put in this one says this is the middle ground, I'm gonna actually change that because it's not necessarily the truth there. So yeah, there's still some work to be done here. I gotta sort of rewrite some of this stuff, but either way, you get the idea. There's pretty much 3 different ones that focus on different things. So the developmental one is all about training. This executive puts in place a lot of, or at least they delegate to their managers to make sure that training is happening all the time. Develop employees, look at the employee as an asset to be invested into. So that's exactly what that's all about. Now, finally, down to the salary negotiation. In this game, there is industry standards for pretty much everything. So every position has a salary standard, whatever the standard salary for that position is, and then each employee, executive, manager, they all have self-perception. So they look at their skills and try to compare themselves to the industry, and therefore they get their number that they believe they should be paid. Now you can change that number. When you change the number, though, the chance of it's supposed to say the likelihood executive will accept the offer. And that's what this is for. This will change as you adjust their salary. Right now, it's a probable chance of acceptance. Really, what that's saying is more of it's almost less than 50%, or about 50% chance that they'll accept it, depending on their own reasoning. Yeah, the lower we go, the very low chance of acceptance. They don't want to get paid that little. So let's see. Let's just go up here and let's go like a little under that, right? And we can go by 100 or by 1,000 right now. Might change that, but let's go to make the offer for 90,000 a year. All right, and then it says Christine will take some time to consider your offer. You can watch the dialogue in the top left to see when it's not going to be in the top left to see when they respond. If they accept, they will go into your talent pool. You will have to grant them a seat at or at the headquarters. These guys can only be stationed at the headquarters. Forgive all the cutoffs, guys, on these dialogue choices. So let's play time, because that executive will let us know in a moment if they are interested in working for us. So that's essentially how that part will work. I just wanted to sort of demonstrate that a little bit. I know it's very long-winded, as most of these videos are. So if you sit through these, I admire you. I can be a very long-winded person, but either way, you get the idea of how things will play out a little bit. Of course, there's still a lot of polish to go, and we're polishing. But a lot of the game is in. It's just all about the windows and all about the UI, so that you can actually manipulate the game world and manipulate your company and do things. So, but pretty much everything is in already. Just a few more offices I have to build and put in the game, because you won't be creating your own office, but you can edit certain things about it. Of course, you know that you can furnish them completely. But we still have to add quite a few more offices in. So, but they're pretty much essentially built. It's just more of a, because the way I did it is more of plugging it in. Okay, so she did accept the offer. Christine has accepted the position of Chief Marketing Officer at the salary of $90,862.73. She is ready to be given an office or a desk when you're ready. And now you'll see that she is in our leadership situation here. And then now we can delegate to her different things. I can't really control that, so got to take that off. So we will, though. Oh, yeah, I gotta actually edit that. Oh, does she not work for us? She should. That shouldn't pop up. But either way, there you go, guys. So still just a few more things to do. A lot of polish, but a few more things to do as far as adding in stuff. And then we'll be in that home stretch. But can't wait to show you more when we get to the factories, research facilities, and things like that. But I do want to show one more thing in this very long video. And I'm going to do that in just a second. But now you see she's there. We do have to seat her, though, or else she won't be able to do much for us. So, whoops. Still got to fix a few things. We're almost there, though. Let's give her something like this. And a few other things too. It's all little stuff that you see that this is very easy to fix, so that's why I've been putting it off for so long. It's very easy to fix, so we will actually get to that. And well, when we do get to that, it's all going to happen very fast. The polish for that, so let's throw that light in here. Let's get rid of that. Just a few, HUD anomalies here and there, but we'll get that all straightened away, or straightened out. All right, now don't mind. I'm still working on the HUD for this. Right now it's just a work in progress, but I just have to make sure it's always in front of you. Right now it's in the game world, so that menu has to be on a panel here instead of right in the game world. But then again, I'm actually playing around with different ideas, so we'll get that squared away. But now she should be, oops, that's bugged out. There we go. Gotta get it. That's just a little bugged out. But we're gonna go ahead and do that. She should, now she's gonna glide in because I have yet to work on the animations. There she go. Ha! Look at her. She's gliding on an imaginary or invisible glider. So she levitated to her desk. She pulled a Jean Grey. Awesome. All right, so let's see here. Right, so she's in place and she can do her job. And like I said, executives can only be placed at the headquarters. They cannot work at like other offices. Okay, so there's that. Let's pull this window back up and talk about the last piece. And there's going to be other policies you can set too, but let's talk about this. And hopefully this doesn't become a controversial thing. It shouldn't, because it's life, right? So there are company employee and hiring policies that you can set in the game that have a direct effect on your employees, of course, naturally. So, employee conduct policy. We can choose a rigorous guideline policy, or standard guideline, or a relaxed guideline. Now, the rigorous one, and I'm just going to simply read from here. With this policy setting, all employees will be under close surveillance. Even minor grievances will be punished harshly. You can be sure no employee will step out of line. Let's talk about that a little bit. In this game, there can be incidents, typically at your satellite offices, right? Warehouses and things like that. You can have incidents within your company. So employees, if they have background or issues, they can sort of act out, lose control, and you have to deal with that because it can sometimes leak out and then of course affect your company or your workforce reputation or your company's reputation in some way or another. Now, of course, if you have very rigorous guidelines, that makes every employee stressed because they're under this close microscope, and no employee wants to work under those conditions, of course, but you never know if you decide to. And it's funny because all these things work together in some way too. So if you decide to be lenient on your background checks, then you might want to have more rigorous guidelines because you're going to have more questionable employees working for your company. But if we go to standard route, that's more balanced. So you can see this is industry standard, although not a relaxed policy is not nearly as harsh as the rigorous setting. Employees can breathe a little knowing that simply walking in the building the wrong way will not get them written up. I know what that actually says. And then relaxed guidelines is the more relaxed policy gives employees a feeling of being trusted. However, the not so well-to-do employees will feel a sense of opportunity. Okay, so then we're going to come down to equal opportunity. I try my best to stay away from many controversial things, but in this, I feel like it's as a part of this world of business. So why not add it in? It's a simulation game, strategy game. Why not add it in? Let the player choose what they want to do. So if we choose, there's going to be one more option here too. So just bear with me for these two that we have in the game right now. This policy means the company will comply with worldwide guidelines. However, the company will do nothing more than that is required to comply with the law. This can save a bit of money because everything costs in some way or another. So essentially, the more paperwork you have to create, it costs a little bit. It's not going to be a lot, but as you can see, right now I have it listed as 20 per hire. Not when you're making a lot of money, it's not going to make a huge difference. So we'll see how we can make that, how we can balance that as time goes on. But either way, the complete policy. This policy means the company will go above and beyond to push equality. This makes employees in the community worldwide view your company as an ambassador of equality. Okay, and this, of course, is cut off again, so I'll just talk a little bit about it. Yes, and I meant to mention there are lawsuits in the game. You can be sued. Okay, if you do, it's a third option where lawsuits will go up, and in that situation, just gonna make you need a lawyer all that much more. Hopefully, you get a really good one to get you out of a pinch. But either way, I give you the option to choose what you want to do in the game. So this is one of those policies that directly affects the workforce reputation. Okay, now last but not least, background checks. If you do harsh background checks, scandals go down significantly. You can have scandals and incidents in the game. Scandals typically happen with your higher level executives and managers, but these are things that happen that really become a public issue, and can damage your company's reputation on a large scale. So either way, we'll talk more about those later. Let's just talk about the policy itself. Not only do you check criminal backgrounds, but you also check everything under the sun. And if so much as a blip comes up in the research, the application is tossed. So what does that guarantee? It guarantees that you have, crystal clean, or pristine, clean employees, if you will, as far as history records, criminal records, or job history. You don't want to hire anybody who's ever been fired, things like that. Then you have your standard guideline, the standard check. But by the way, the harsh guidelines also limits the potential candidates that you can find who are actually very qualified for the jobs that you are hiring for, who might just have a small history. Then we have standard guidelines. So standard check will make sure you catch anyone who has fudged background information and lied about experience. This is the industry standard. Of course, criminal backgrounds too catches. I think I wrote that. Either way, we'll be adding more text to these. Okay, so the simple guidelines. Simple guidelines are more relaxed, catching only criminal background, letting other things go by the wayside. This can help you attract more talent with history, however, but this can backfire or reap benefits. Either way. Yeah, so you have a lot of editing to do there. But then you could choose to have no background checks. And of course, I write some very interesting things there, but obviously the chance for scandals and incidents become much more probable. Either way, we're almost there, guys. I know this has been a very long video. As you can see, I've been trying to get through it all and as quick as I can, but it's quite challenging with this game. There's so much to cover, but I don't want to cover every single thing, but I do want to show you what I've been working on so you can see the progress yourself. And we're almost there, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Why am I spinning the window or the scene? I'm not sure, but we're all done now. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or concerns, don't forget to hit me in the comments and check out the website, http, well, you know, the whole, web address thing. TechExecutiveTycoon.com. Don't mind me. It's late tonight. TechExecutiveTycoon.com. Check us out there. You can check us out on Facebook, Tech Executive Tycoon. Also have a Twitter, Tech Executive Tycoon. It should be standard as far as how to get there, but I always like to, well, sometimes I try to post the actual links to those too. But either way, check us out and stay tuned because the game will be releasing soon. And also a big piece of information you might want to know, anybody who already has access to the testing phase, I will be opening up the testing phase again, because we're at that point now where there's things a whole lot more to test, and I need to make sure the game is running as smooth as possible. And any bug reports that you can submit would be awesome. And I know that you all before were testing a lot. I don't plan to open up the signing up, open up the opportunity to sign up again. I'm just gonna open up the test to those who already have access to testing. If we don't have enough people who start doing it again, then I may be opening it up for new signups. But either way, we have to get the test in the game, guys. So we're at that point now, and I'll be talking about that in the very, very near future. But this week, guys, on a side note here, it won't be as much. We might even miss. There's a possibility we can miss this upcoming Monday's update because I will be away. So and in a little bit of a transition. So I want to just sort of put that out there just in case. But there is a chance I can still make that update. So stay tuned. Either way, you'll definitely see me at least 2 weeks from now, updating you again on the progress and shooting for the stars, guys. We're going to try to get there as soon as possible. I know you've been waiting a long time, but good things take time, and I'm really hoping to create a good thing here. So thanks, guys, for watching. You stuck in here with me for this long video, and I am happy that you did. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.